Hello everyone. Today I come to you with a more somber post about one of my most negative experiences that I've experienced as a shoe enthusiast in the shoe community. I thought it was going to start out great. All signs pointed to that, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details of what's gone on to make me feel as disappointed and frustrated and upset as I have been, but I wanted to share some thoughts just as a cautionary tale. The brand that I wish to talk about today is Cayo Torres, or Maestro Bespoke, coming out of Brazil. So Maestro and Cayo have been making waves on Instagram and Facebook thanks to a number of posts that feature really beautiful shoes, honestly. Creative designs, unique lasts, nice levels of fit and finish from what I could tell on Instagram posts. And I decided to reach out several months ago to Cayo, and we planned to make 2 shoes. Both were unique designs, spiral hole cuts, and honestly, it's a beautiful shoe. The shoe fits me reasonably well. It was built off of a stock last that was modified by Cayo based off of my measurements. And overall, my experience with the brand and Cayo was fantastic until I received the shoes. Upon doing my unboxing, which I will show at some point in the near future, I started to recognize that I was concerned about the construction of the shoes. Now, as my name and Instagram handle would suggest, I'm a fan of welted shoes, shoes that can be resolable because they're built off of a welt, using some degree of stitching either through machine or through hand for the construction of the shoe. What I recognize when receiving these shoes is they are not welted shoes. I saw no evidence of a outsole stitch along the fudging, which was my first concern. In peering into the inside of the shoe, I realized I couldn't find any evidence of actual insole stitching, any Blake stitching, any Goodyear stitch, any evidence of any construction at all, besides potentially cementing. I looked at the bottom of the shoe, and again, I didn't see a channel that had been cut or hidden, anything like that. And so I reached out to Cayo, and I got a lot of messages back from him that were trying to explain, I think, his approach to constructing the shoes. He described having a unique process that he developed over time. He initially called it blind welting, which I'll show you here, and then switched to describing it more as a welted cement. I'm not sure what that means. I reached out to a number of colleagues, including some who had posted on his shoes in the past, to see if they had any knowledge of his way of constructing the shoes, because my own inquiries with Cayo were leading to dead ends. He focused on the comforts of the shoes, their durability, and making grand claims about those statements. But I repetitively ask, is the shoe welted? Is there any stitching involved? And ultimately, after a fairly lengthy set of exchanges and discourse, I was told that the shoes were not welted, they were cemented. And he was still hesitant to use that term, to be honest, but I could find no other way of identifying, understanding construction. Became concerned that I was paid for a shoe that I presumed was a welted shoe based off of some of the images that we had shared, but I made a mistake. I never confirmed with Cayo that the shoes were going to be a welted construction. I looked back at my initial conversations, and this was my fault. He apparently has a cemented line of construction for his entry point, which is a $750 shoe. The good things about the shoe, as I mentioned, is that they're very creative uppers. The leather seems to be of reasonably high quality from an Argentinian tannery. There's a lot of thought and effort and handwork that goes into creation of the uppers. My sense is that the sole is prefabricated and essentially applied by cement to the remainder of the shoe using more traditional cemented techniques and no stitching at all, which obviously lends itself to some concerns about longevity, durability, and whatnot. Now, Cayo has told me that if I ever had a concern with the durability or construction of the shoe, I could always send it back to him to resole. But my concern is I can't do that locally, and he's in Brazil, and shipping costs and all of that can drive up the price. And so I made the move years ago from cemented wear to welted wear for a reason, and that's the name of my channel. I will own my mistake in not clarifying the construction of the shoe, and as a warning, or really just as an advice to any of you working with a maker, please make sure that the things that are important to you are things that are discussed. If you're interested in the quality of the leather or the source of the leather, ask about that. If you're curious about the construction of the shoe, be it cemented, Blake, stitch, Goodyear welted, or hand welted, ask about that. You can ask as much as you wish, and it's really your prerogative and ultimately your decision as to whether you can pursue purchasing these shoes, because a lot of these emerging brands are not established makers. They're not people who have a set of criteria by which to define their production. And my understanding is that Cayo initially emerged from making bridal shoes, cemented shoes for women as part of weddings, and then in the past year and a half has emerged to be producing really what appear to be high quality men's shoes that match some of the designs, and it's hard to tell on Instagram whether they're welted or not. And so I'm sharing these images to show you the beauty of the shoes, but I'm also sharing my concerns. So if you're okay with cemented shoes, certainly this is a high price point for a cemented shoe, but there are others who similarly charge at that level. For me, there are many other better options out there, and I will be moving on from Cayo once I complete this video and a few others to talk about the shoe. This was my major mistake here, first big mistake in years. A bit of a confessional today. I don't like to do that, but at the same time, this is reality. Sometimes expectations are not met. Sometimes there's challenges with how you would approach somebody, and the communication barriers that might fall apart may lead to substantial disappointment. I'm very disappointed by the whole process. I'm sure Cayo's disappointed by how things turned out. There was clearly a miscommunication, and then everything devolved from there. So to that end, I hope you're all doing well. I'll catch up with you in the next video. Take care and goodbye.